Kristen Gillespie was named the 12th head coach in Lewis women's basketball history on July 30th, 2015, and hit the ground running. In her first year as head coach, Gillespie guided the Flyers to a record of 28-3, including a perfect 16-0 regular season mark in the Great Lakes Valley Conference play. For her efforts, Gillespie was named both the GLVC and the WBCA Midwest Region Coach of the Year. As a player, Gillespie was a 4-year letter winner and 3-year captain for the Wolfpack from 1996 through 1999. As a junior, she was North Carolina State's starting point guard on the 1998 NCAA Final Four squad, and she was also selected as honorable mention academic All-American the following year as a senior. And with that, I introduce you to Kristen Gillespie.
Thank you so much, Bill. I'm really excited. First time being at a Rotary Club, so I thought when we first talked to Bill, I agreed. He's like, oh, it'll be question and answer. I was like, oh, perfect. And then yesterday, I found that it's just going to be talking. So I just want to apologize for you guys. Bear with me, but I will hopefully make this okay for all of you guys. But, I'm originally from Joliet. My family, my parents, lifelong Jolietans, I guess, I don't know. I got into coaching, I really didn't have a choice. My grandfather, Gordy Gillespie, long time coach, 54 seasons, got his actual college start right down the road at Lewis, which makes it really special for me to be coaching at Lewis right now. Coached Joliet Catholic football, College of St. Francis, a couple stints in Ripon, Wisconsin. So I kind of grew up, just with the coaching blood. My father got into coaching. He was a basketball coach at Joliet Catholic, a couple other high schools, and we moved to Florida. He got into college coaching. My brother was a coach. My uncle was a coach. So needless to say, my mother is the real saint of this story, putting up with all the coaches in our family, not being an athlete herself, but our biggest fan. But when I was speaking with Bill, and he was telling me about your organization and what you guys stand for, it just got me thinking about just some of the life lessons I've learned along the way, and it really starts with my grandfather. And he passed away a little over a year and a half ago, and when I moved back to the area 7 years ago, I was coaching in I was at NC State, and I moved back to the city to coach at UIC, and I got to spend the last 6 years of his life, and I really made a point to spend as much time with him as possible. And growing up, we were always on the move. We moved quite a bit, so I didn't get to spend a ton of time with him. But I learned probably more in these last 6 years with him than I did, over the course of my life. And I just wanted to share a couple things that really impacted me, and just kind of goes with leadership. The first thing he always would tell me is, whatever your job is, it's the greatest job in the world, and you have to put your heart and soul into it. You can't be looking for that next thing down the line, because it's not fair. It's not fair to the people you work with, or in my case, the young people I am coaching. And it always really made sense to me, no matter what, good days, bad days, when I would talk to him, he said, oh, Kristen, you have the greatest job. Don't ever forget that. And I think no matter what field of business you may find yourself in, that really rings true. Good days, bad days, it is the greatest job. Hand in hand, he always told me that don't ever think you're above anything that the job has to offer. And he goes, I was always the guy that's, when the kids got off the bus, I cleaned the bus. I made sure the bus was ready for the next group. Yes, was I cleaning our players' garbage? We would always remind them to clean up after themselves, but I'm sure a lot of you guys have kids knowing, that doesn't always happen, especially in our case, 18 to 22-year-olds. I just hope that they, don't leave their shoes on the bus, let alone getting garbage off the bus. That's challenging for them, but sweeping the floor, doing all the things. He would talk to me about servant leadership, and he'd say your job is to set the example for them. You don't want your players in your program to think, oh, coach doesn't have to do that, why should I have to do that? You know, a lot of, in the world of sports, you know, you hear about the freshmen have to do all the grunt work. That's not the case in our program. That's my staff and myself. You know, you'll walk into a practice. We had practice at 5:30 yesterday morning, and I got there at 4:45, and I swept the floor, and, you know, I made sure the balls were out. We do have managers that is kind of, they help with that, but it's really important for me for our players to see that, yeah, I do that, and that's okay. I don't have a problem with that, and hopefully that kind of sets in, some a little bit quicker than others, but you know, it's really important that I'll never be above, no matter what job I have, or if I, you know, keep climbing the coaching ladder, you'll always find me sweeping the floors, cleaning out the bus, because that was instilled in me from an early age, you know, with my grandfather, my father, and that's something that I think is really, you know, it transcends whatever business you're in. Another thing he always told me is, you know, you could have all the knowledge in the world, could be the greatest, you know, leader in whatever you choose to do, but until the people you surround yourself with, for me it's my staff and my players, they will not follow your lead until they know you really care about them. And that's something that I hold really true to my heart. You can come over, go down the road and, you know, come to our practice or a game. You know, I would really hope if you talk to our kids, they would say, you know, I know Coach cares about me. You know, they may not be thrilled with their playing time or things like that, but, you know, that is a huge part of why I do what I do. You know, for me, I catch young women from ages 18 to 21, 22. It's really, you know, critical points in their life when they're really forming who they become. And, you know, we have 14 young women in our program that come from various walks of life, various backgrounds, parts of the country, socioeconomic conditions. So it's, you know, it's my job to kind of give them that consistent love. And we use the word love a lot in our program. We don't shy away from it. You know, I want every member of our team to know that they are cared about, they are loved, no matter if they're Jamie Johnson, who is, you know, the National Preseason Player of the Year, or the walk-on we have from Von Steuben High School. Each kid feels value, and that's really important. And, you know, I only can speak, I've only ever coached. You know, that's all I've ever done, but, you know, I know it goes into all workplaces, you know, the people that you're surrounding yourself with and the people that are underneath you. You know, it's really important to make them know that they are valued and they are cared about. And then the last thing, and I think this is the most important, is why do you do what you do? And it's really clear why I do what I do, and I hope that the people that work for me, my assistant coaches, you know, everyone that comes in contact, I think I have the greatest job in the world, because I get to spend every day with, once again, young women 18 to 22 who are really trying to become the adults that they're going to be. I get to have a chance to positively impact their lives, and it's a great responsibility, and it's one that I take very serious. But, you know, what greater thing can you have than to, in 4 years, have a young person look back and say, hey, Coach, thank you. You know, thank you for the tough love, the laughs, the memories. And that's why I do it. And I think that's, you know, we talk about our players of finding their why early. And they look at me like, Coach, I don't even know what's going on today in my life. And you were trying to get me to think about my why for my future. But it's something that I think is critical in all walks of life, of, you know, what your burning desire is. And, you know, I'm just so thankful that God's kind of led me down this path, and, you know, my why kind of matches up with what I get to do every day. And my grandpa always used to say, you know, the kids aren't going to realize it right away. And it is tough, and I'm sure everyone knows, you know, sometimes you go home from your work and sometimes we do a lot of thankless things, and you know in your heart of hearts you're having a great impact, but for whatever reason, those people just aren't seeing it. But how I have started to measure, you know, my why and my impact is the wedding invitations I get in the mail, or the baby announcements, or, you know, Coach, I just got engaged, or, you know, Coach, something, even on the flip side, when tragedy hits, I'm one of those people, they pick up the phone and call. And that's when I know, hey, I think I'm trying to do the right thing. I think that success kind of comes hand in hand with that when they know you care and, you're setting that example. I really realized 2 years ago when my grandfather passed away, at his wake, it was an 8-hour wake, and the line was just, it was unbelievable. And just to see now, he coached for 54 years and, won over 2,000 games. But there were people coming up to our family and just saying, oh, I never played for your grandfather, but at Lewis, I was in pre-law and I had to take one PE class, and he was my teacher, and that's why I'm here today. And it kind of blew my mind that just in that, 3-4 months that my grandfather had the ability to impact this young man's life who, he didn't play a sport, but he then, 40 years later, was moved enough to come to his funeral. And it really stayed with me. And, it's kind of what my sense of leadership is and what we're trying to do with our program. I would love to get involved. I'd love to get my players involved as much as I can. I was talking to Bill, some different things you guys are doing. We do a lot in the community. I have great girls. They are phenomenal young women. They drive me bananas sometimes. I got a lot of gray hair because of them. But they're really great young women, and they're great role models for young people. We have a great product. We are really good. We should be top 10 in the country again this year. We'd love to get you guys out to a game. If please don't hesitate, whether it's, I have some cards or through Bill. If there's something that you could think that would be beneficial to have some college-age people come out and help, because this is a big part of what we do at Lewis. We are involved, and we do about 5 or 6 community service projects a year, but it's on a consistent basis. It's just not to check off a list of say, hey, we did stuff. It's really important. I'll just give you one little story, and then I will stop talking. But last year we played up in Detroit right before Christmas, and I was so nervous about the game because after the game everyone was leaving for a week to go home for Christmas, and I was so worried that our kids were going to have one foot on that plane to get to go home, because I was flying home to Florida. I was excited to go see my family. So I was trying to think of something to really unite our team and get them focused, and I found an organization that allows you to adopt a family for Christmas. But the cool thing about this organization, they allowed you to drop the gifts off personally. So the day of the game, we go to our shoot around, and we load let me backtrack. Every kid donated as much money as they could. I said I would match whatever our kids raised. They did a heck of a job. I was like, oh, okay. So I had to go a little bit deeper into the savings account, but I love that spirit of our kids. We went to Walmart, we loaded up, we had a little wish list. We go to Detroit, we have a wrapping party the night before the game. We go to our shoot around, we play Wayne State at 2, so we go to shoot around at 9. We get back on the bus. Before we go to the hotel, we pull up into a really tough neighborhood in Detroit. People are looking like, what in the world is going on? There's a charter bus coming. Every kid's walking in with 4 or 5 gifts, and we knock on the door, and it's a 1-bedroom apartment with 3 children and a single mother, and the look on the young girls' faces, the mom is crying, and some of our girls, I'll be really honest, were really uncomfortable. They had never been around that type of poverty, or just, it was tough. But I will tell you this, that is the one thing they talk about to this day of that really had a huge impact, and they can't wait till we get to do that again, and that's just, that's what we're trying to do. So I would love to get involved. I'd love to have my girls. You will not find 14 better young women to help out in anything in this area, but I would just, on the flip side, would love to have you guys come to a game and see for yourself. Not only are they very, very talented on the court, they're great young women. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate Bill asking me out here, and hopefully I can come back in again. So.